want to show you a concept. This is a pretty fundamental to our to the human condition. You're aware of a Mishnah in Pirkei Avos that says, the Mishnah says, Rabbi Elazar HaKapar Omer. Rabbi Elazar HaKapar says, Pirkei Avos, Perik Daled, Mishnah, should be Yud Zayin, Tez Zayin. Where is it? Oh, Chafalef, sorry. Rabbi Elazar HaKapar Omer. Rabbi Elazar HaKapar says, Hakina ve'ataiva ve'akovod motzina soda mina olam. Maybe we could close the door over there just to keep in the sound. Jealousy. Taiva is the pursuit of pleasure, and kavod, which is the pursuit of honor, take a person out of the world. Means every avera that a person does, every sin, has one of these three things. Is it too cold in here for you guys? You could turn it off. You could turn it off and put on the other one, and we'll see if it gets. Is it okay? You guys are good? Okay. So Rabbi Elazar HaKapar says jealousy, the pursuit of pleasure and the pursuit of honor take a person out of the world. Now, the plain meaning of this is that, first of all, in very physical terms, when you're jealous of somebody, you may decide you could actually abbreviate your life. You could terminate your life because you're trying to keep up with somebody who you're jealous of, and therefore you overwork and run your health down, and whatever else it takes, and then a person could shorten his life through jealousy. The pursuit of pleasure could certainly shorten a person's life, whether it's in unhealthy foods or whether it's unhealthy behavior. A person could get AIDS or whatever it is, various diseases, and that shortens a person's life. Ve'akavod is the pursuit of honor. And when a person pursues honor, so that also maybe he's going to work too hard to achieve the honor, or maybe he'll try to gain a position of honor where people try to shoot him, which happens to presidents and various high government officials. And so these three things take a person out of the world. Now, what that means is that underlying any inappropriate behavior, any avera that a person does, one of these three is, or it could be a combination, one or all of these three are ingredients in a person's avera. Think of any avera. Non-kosher food, so you have taiva. Murdering somebody is often because of kina, because of jealousy. Committing an act of immorality is taiva. Trying to take away somebody's position in an illegal manner is because you want the honor that he has. Or you talk lashon hara. One politician talks lashon hara about another politician because he wants to get elected because of the honor. Every avera you could think of is going to have one of these three things as the catalyst. Sometimes even more. But at least one of these three things are going to be the catalyst to the avera. Now, if there's any technology being used, please put the technology away. It's not respectful to the Torah. So the Bilam, we said that Bilam has the Mishnah that we quoted yesterday. We talked about Avram Avinu, and we talked about Bilam. That Bilam has a ayin ra'ah, a bad eye, which is jealousy. Viruach gevoha. He's got a high spirit, which is the pursuit of honor. V'nefesh rechava, and a broad soul, meaning he's the pursuit of pleasure. So Bilam represents these three negative traits: kina, taiva, and kavod. Jealousy, honor, and the pursuit of various physical desires. Now, it also says in Pirkei Avos that the world stands on three things: Torah, avoda, and gemilus chasadim. And if you stop and think about it, they are the three counterforces. Kina is jealousy. What's the counterforce to jealousy? is gemilas chasadim, is acts of kindness. Kina means I resent you as a person. I resent what you possess. And an act of gemilas chasadim means I'm doing for you. That's the opposite of jealousy. Taiva is the pursuit of pleasure, and the opposite of taiva is Torah. Torah is what teaches us to get our base desires under control. The Gemara says, Barasi Yetzer Hara, I created the evil inclination. Barasi lo Torah tavlin. I created the Torah as the antidote. Torah is the counterforce. The only way to get ourselves under control is by studying Torah. And the opposite of kavod is tefillah. Avoda. Avoda is the divine service. What's kavod? What does it mean, the pursuit of honor? Pursuit of honor means it's all about me. That's honor. Honor means it's all about me. I'm great, it's all about me. What is avoda? Avoda is either sacrifices, prayer, mitzvahs, serving God. That means it's not about me, it's about God. And therefore, each one of those three is the counterforce to these three. By the way, the idea that they take a person, that kina, taiva, and kavod, remove a person from the world, really means, at a certain level, it moves us from the world of reality. When you're jealous of somebody, you think that this guy got a new car, he's got a new Lamborghini, and you think that he's just in love. You think that that's his whole world is just that Lamborghini, and by the time he's driven it for 2 days, he's not even thinking about it anymore. And it distorts our perspective. I think, wow, this guy's got it made, because he's got a great job and goes on a great vacation. And for all you know, the guy's upset, the guy's aggravated, he can't stand his job, and his vacations never thrill him. You don't even know what he's going through. It takes us out of the world of reality. That's kina. Taiva, physical desire for sure. Anybody who's ever fasted on Yom Kippur, an hour before Yom Kippur ends, what are you imagining that you could eat? Wow, I'm not only going to eat the entire pizza by myself, I'm going to eat the box. Then I'm going to have a second one. Right? You have 2 slices, you're basically a human being again. You can't eat as much as you think. It takes you. I'm so hungry. You look at a table full of food. You go into a restaurant, you look at the whole thing. You've had a few bites. You can't conquer as much as anywhere as much as you think, except for Jolt on Shabbos. Then we do break the bounds and limitations of natural law. But besides that, the desire. They even have an expression. I'm so hungry I could eat a horse. No, you can't. First of all, it's not kosher. But secondly, even a small pony, you wouldn't be able to eat it. Even a small chicken. Now how much could you eat? So it takes us out of the world of reality. And honor is certainly like that. A person feels, when I get to that level of honor, I'll have it made. But the nature of honor is when a person feels they get the honor, then they want more honor. I think Donald Trump is still waiting to get the Nobel Peace Prize. Every news item, for the last 4 years, he's all over the place. How much honor do you want? And he just thinks, well, if I get the Nobel Peace Prize, then I'll have real honor. After that, it'll be something else. It never satiates. Okay, that's the background. Now, let's take this to the higher level. In Pasuk Chav Ches, in Pasuk Chav Ches, we said yesterday on page 860. Let's read this again. I want to show you. It's a very, very deep. 860. So again, it's where the donkey speaks. Oh, nice donkey! The donkey spilled the water. Wow, that's a talented donkey. Am I embarrassed? No, not at all. That is not the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to me in a class. And what is the most embarrassing thing? No, keep it on. I can take the hit. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. You see, it's my fault because I took a faulty cup this morning trying to prove a point. Daniel, stop gloating. But I am right. It holds just as much water. Daniel said it doesn't hold as much water. Once it's bent in, it holds just as much. But I wanted to show him that the water tastes just as good from a what do you call it, cup, a bent cup. No, that's okay. That's good. We're good. So, I was once giving here in Ohr Somayach years ago. I was giving it with one of my first. Thank you very much. Sorry to put you to so much work. Okay. Do you do windows also? So I was here in this room, and I was, I think, my first year in the yeshiva that I was teaching here, and I was giving one of my first lectures. And at a certain point, I said, in a room full of people, I said, does anybody have any, at a certain point, does anybody have any questions? So a guy raises his hand, and I was like flattered, wow, a guy's actually listening as I said, yes. He goes, what time does this lecture end? Right? That was embarrassing. I actually spilled water once. I was speaking at an event in America at a yeshiva of Malava Malka. And the podium was, I spilled water many times. The podium was very high. And all the Rabbanim were sitting down low on the table. And at a certain point, the Skokie Yeshiva Malka, I knocked over the water and it spilled right on the Rosh Yeshiva. Yeah, that's bad. Yeah, no. Water libations, that was bad. That was bad. So here, the donkey opens his mouth. Vayiftach Hashem, 6 lines from the bottom. Vayiftach Hashem es piha, so Hashem opens the mouth of the donkey. Vatomer lebila mea sisi lecha, what did I do to you, ki kisani zesholosh regolim? Why have you hit me 3 times? And yesterday, we pointed out that the word sholosh regolim is referring to, literally means 3 times, but it also alludes to the 3 pilgrimages to Yerushalayim, the 3 holidays. Pesach, Sukkot, Shavuos, when the Jewish people, thank you, Daniel, when the Jewish people, thank you. Watch this, Daniel. Read them and weep. Yeah. And it holds just as much. See that? So the Jewish people go up to Yerushalayim 3 times. They go up 3 times a year. And Rashi says, well, Bilam was trying to wipe out the nation who celebrates Sholosh Regolim. And we asked yesterday, why is the Torah focusing on those? Why is the Torah focusing on those mitzvahs when we do a lot of other mitzvahs? We also put on tefillin and we keep Shabbos and so on and so forth. Remember, we asked that yesterday. Now, stay with this. It's really fascinating. Really fascinating. Tina, the 3 negative traits which Bilam possessed in spades. If you take jealousy to the highest level, what do you end up with? You end up with murder. The first murder in history was Cain killed Hevel. Why did he kill him? Because he was jealous that his sacrifices were accepted. What does the word Cain mean? Where does it come from? Kinyan, which is acquisition, and also kina, which is jealousy. And the reason they're related is because you're usually jealous of somebody else's kinyan. When somebody acquires something, that's what triggers off our jealousy. Taiva, to the highest level, if you take physical desire to the highest level, the worst form of physical desire is illicit relations, immorality, living with another man's wife. And if you take kavod to the highest level, honor is idol worship. Because the opposite of honor is serving God. The extreme opposite of serving God is saying, I'm not going to serve the way you want me to serve. I'm going to serve the way I want to serve. And therefore, if you take kina, taiva, and kavod, those 3 negative traits, and you raise them to the highest place, so then you end up with murder, immorality, and idol worship, which are the 3 cardinal sins that a person would have to give up his life rather than transgress. Now, he wants to take the Jewish people, and what does he want to instill? Bilam, who is a spiritual opponent to the Jewish people, what does he want to really do to get the Jewish people to lose their level? He wants to somehow instill in the Jewish people the traits of kina, taiva, and kavod, because that'll bring us to sin. And not only bring us to sin, it'll bring us to the worst levels of sin. Because the more we have of that inside of us, the more it's going to manifest itself, and then it could get to the point of murder, immorality, and idol worship. So what does the donkey say to Bilam? It says, and that's why he goes up against Avram Avinu. Remember, he gets up early in the morning, but he's counteracted by Avram Avinu getting up early in the morning. So what does the donkey say to Bilam? You hit me 3 regalim. Says the Medrash, Rashi quoting the Medrash, you want to destroy a nation that celebrates 3 regalim. In other words, you want to instill in them these 3 traits that could lead to the worst of eras? Not going to work. You know what? Because the Jewish people celebrate Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot. What was Pesach the counterforce to? What did the Jewish people do on Pesach? There's the Paschal lamb that we sacrifice. Kill the Avodah Zarah of Egypt. You're sacrificing. You're killing the deity of the Egyptians. Pesach is the counterforce to idol worship. It's the counterforce to Kina. To Kavod. The counterforce to Kavod. Kavod is, remember again, you understand how Kavod gets idol worship. It's the counterforce. Pesach is the counterforce. Pesach is when the Jewish people devote themselves to God and they slaughter the Egyptian deity. Shavuos is what? What happened on Shavuos? We got the Torah. The Torah is the counterforce to desire. The desire at the worst level is immorality. We have Shavuos. That's our vaccination against immorality because it's the Torah. But learning Torah is what protects us. And what's Sukkot? Sukkot is concern for each other. It's the clouds of glory brought by Aaron HaKohen. Remember, the clouds of glory are in the merit of Aaron HaKohen. Aaron is the peace-loving man. He's the man concerned about everybody else. He was the one who was not jealous of Moshe Rabbeinu when Moshe was selected for the job. And therefore, Sukkot is the opposite of jealousy. It's the opposite of Kina, because Sukkot is concerned for another person. By the way, that's why the Sukkahs are we build the Sukkah, which are these flimsy huts. There should be chumashim over there, gentlemen, on the shelf. Right, Dovid, right there on the shelf there, chumashim. The Sukkahs, we all build flimsy huts. You know why? Why do we build? Everybody got to go out all of a sudden for 7 days. You're in this flimsy hut. Why? Why do you do that on Sukkot? The answer is, what causes jealousy among people? Often the cause of jealousy is economic differences. You've got more than I do. You have a nicer house than I do. You drive a nicer car. All of a sudden, Sukkot, we're all in the same boat. We all live in a flimsy hut. We're all living in the same flimsy hut with the same flimsy skach on top. That reduces any sort of jealousy. Not only that, what's the minimal size of a sukkah? How big? What's the minimal size? No, that's the height. What's the height? How many walls does a sukkah have to have? 3 walls. 2.5, which is really 3. The third one, the 10, that represents the third wall. Why not 4 walls? We all build 4 walls. We generally build 4 walls so we could keep White Sox fans out. But why do we build? But why? But the minimum is 3 walls. Why 3 walls? Because 3 walls represents 4 walls means I'm closed off in my own place. I'm thinking about myself and you're thinking about you. 3 walls represents that we can see to each other. I'm thinking about you, you're thinking about me. That we're concerned for each other. And therefore Sukkot is the opposite. That's what the message the donkey is delivering to Bilam is. You're trying to go and destroy a nation that keeps the 3 regalim. You're trying to go and infect them with your negative traits, which is going to bring them down. Kina, taiva, and kavod. And therefore, it's not going to work because we already have the vaccine. We have the vaccine. What's the vaccine? The vaccine is Pesach, Sukkot, and Shavuot. That's why it's specifically those mitzvahs which are mentioned. Okay. Now, incidentally, the idea that Torah is the counterforce. Torah is the counterforce to physical desire. Why is it that men have the obligation? Why is it that men have an obligation to learn Torah and women don't? I just answered the question. We have much more. Men are out of control, right? Men are out of control. Women are much more controlled. You'll notice. I think I mentioned this to you. The physical mitzvahs in the home are in the jurisdiction of a woman. She's in charge of the kitchen. She's in charge of the kashrus. She's in charge of family purity. Why is it that the woman is in charge? Because you can't trust the man with that. I mean, we're good. But in general, who takes the job more seriously? Women are much more conscientious than men are when it comes to mitzvahs in general. There are certainly conscientious men if you work on yourself. by nature, a woman who takes on a job, she's going to do the job well. A woman is going to, she prepares the house for Shabbos, she cleans the chametz for Pesach, the woman cleans out the house. My idea of cleaning the house for chametz, you know.
That bottle of Blue Label.
Yeah, that's my idea. No, do you know that according to the halacha, all you have to do is you have to negate the chametz. Theoretically, all you got to do is take some sort of soap or detergent and just wash over any surface that has chametz on it. It's no longer edible for a dog. Now, women clean out every single nook and cranny. My idea, and this is the only job that I really enjoy Erev Pesach, is to take a spray bottle with soap water in it and just go spraying around the house and pretending that I'm the good guy spraying chicken for the bad guys, like that. And that's how I would do it. I wouldn't go crawling on my hands and knees under refrigerators and ovens. And a woman, what's that?
No boiling hot water on the counter?
No, forget it. And then you get to measure how far you could spray from. Once in a while, spray your sister. Yeah, that's a great job. But women, when they take on the job, they do the job properly. Okay? That's the idea over here. Now, let's continue. We got the Pasuk Lam and Beis. So, Bilam, top of page 862. Now, I'm going to be very careful this time. Says, Vayigal Hashem es einei Bilam. Hashem reveals, he opens up the eyes of Bilam. Vayaris Malach Hashem nitzav baderech. He sees the angel. V'charbo shlufa biyado. And the angel's there with a sword. Vayikod vayishtachavu la'apov. Bilam bows down to the angel. When you see an angel with a sword, guys, bow down. Right? I've never seen one. I mean, not in a few years anyway. But bow down. If you do see it, bow down. Vayomer lov malach Hashem, Amoi kisas asonscha zesholosh regolim. Why'd you hit him 3 times? Hine anochi yatzasi l'satan ki yorata derech lenagdi. I've come out. Look how the article translated. I went out to impede because you hastened on the road to oppose me. So why are you hitting the donkey? I was blocking the way. Vatirani oson, vatet lefanai zesholosh regolim. The donkey saw me and it veered off. Ulai notza mipani, had the donkey not veered off. Ki ata os gam osa heragti vosa chayesi. If the donkey not veered off, I would have kept you. I would have killed you, and I would have kept the donkey alive. And we see from here that the angel killed the donkey. The donkey died. The angel the angel killed the donkey. Why did the angel kill? He kept Bilam alive, and he killed the donkey. Why did he kill the donkey?
2 reasons.
Yeah.
One was so people don't, they don't see the
Right.
as like an idol, they don't worship the donkey.
Right.
The second one was to show that even with evil people, that we still protect them and their name.
Very good. Very good. Very good. In other words, the halacha is like this. Let's say a person commits bestiality. There's a halacha. Bestiality is in the category of immorality. So bestiality is a capital offense. So in the time of Sanhedrin and the time of Beis Din, if a person was there enough evidence and there are witnesses and he had all the necessary criteria, a person, it's a capital offense, he's executed. But the animal that the person was involved with in bestiality, the animal is killed also. Why should the animal be killed? The animal doesn't know the difference. Why is the animal killed? The answer is, the Gemara says there are 2 reasons. Number 1, the animal was a stumbling block, and therefore the stumbling block has to be removed. Number 1. Bilam's donkey was a stumbling block for Bilam, because by Noachides it's also prohibited. It's only now that it became public knowledge. So the donkey is killed, number 1. Number 2, so to help save face for Bilam. That means that if a man commits bestiality, so then the animal is killed. So because otherwise people are going to see this cow or this horse walking around. They say, that's Chaim's baby, right? And it'll be embarrassing for the family. It'll be embarrassing for the family. Therefore, the Torah says the animal has to be removed. In order to spare Bilam the shame, he just got. He was embarrassed by this donkey talking to him and telling everybody what he does. In order to save him shame, the donkey is killed. If we see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does that for even a wicked person like Bilam, So imagine how much he's concerned about our dignity also. Sometimes we embarrass ourselves. That's something else. But then Bilam comes up with the line I really want to get to today. Vayomer Bilam el Malach Hashem, Chatasi, I've sinned. Ki lo yadati ki ata nitzov likrasi b'derech. I didn't know. Ve'ata imra beinecha ashuvali. If it's bad, I'll turn back. Yeah.
For when the angel killed the donkey, is that the donkey fulfilled his job? Like the donkey was created on the last day of creation, and that donkey did it still did.
You don't have to. The guy does his job. You don't have to kill him. That'd be terrible to be to work a job. You know, hey boss, I finished the project. You know, great. Take him out. Okay, position needs to be filled. A job. you know. So you're right. He doesn't deserve to die. Doesn't deserve to die. A lot of things are created. They fulfill their need, and they still left alive. The death over here specifically is in order to save shame for Bilam. And you're talking about the guy who himself has embarrassed himself. Even so, that's how concerned we are. That's how concerned we are. Okay? Now, Bilam says something interesting here. I just heard somebody before, Dovid, I think it was you. A lot of people wouldn't have asked that question. You asked, there was milk in the refrigerator. And somebody was conscientious enough to ask if the milk in the refrigerator is for public usage. Not everybody. Some people just see milk and they just take it. And somebody asked, am I allowed to take it? That's a good thing in life to ask. Am I allowed to? So what did Bilam do? Bilam says, I've sinned because I didn't know that you were there, and I didn't know that I was forcing the issue over here. I don't understand. So then why did you sin if you didn't know? So what's the problem? What's the problem? You didn't know. I didn't know. What do you want from me? I didn't know. What's the answer? What's the answer?
He knew.
Either you should have known or you should have asked. You should have known or you should have asked. I don't know. I saw milk in the refrigerator, so I took it. I thought it was public. Well, maybe you should have asked before you took it. Maybe you should have asked. In certain things in life, you should have known. Didn't you ever get that from your parents? You ever get that? Yeah, I didn't know that I'm not allowed to take the car when you're sleeping at 2 a.m. and test to see how fast it could go. You should have known. You never heard that from me? You never heard you right? You should have known. There's certain things you should have known. So my wife makes a new batch of brownies on the counter. Nobody said I can't take it. I didn't know I didn't know I can't. You should have known, or you should have known this. You should have known that. You should have known the other. I heard a story once. This woman bakes like 80 challahs, 80 little pieces of bread. No, 80 little personal rolls, because their family's making a Sheva Brachas the next week. So she knocks on the door of her neighbor. And she says, Rachel, I baked these 80 challahs. Is it okay if I put them in your freezer? I don't have room in my freezer. Rachel says, yeah, sure, no problem. She puts the 80 rolls in the freezer. Okay. A week later, Leah comes to the house. She says, Rachel, could I get the challahs tomorrow morning? Tomorrow's a Sheva Brachas. I want to defrost them tonight. She says, sure. She goes to the freezer, and she opens it up. There are 3 rolls in the freezer. So she looks, she goes, and there's her husband is sitting there. She goes, Beryl, did you eat the challahs? She goes, yeah, they were really good. Me and the boys have been eating them all week. Yeah, thanks. She goes, women have a rare ability. They can yell without making a sound. Right? It's an amazing thing. And she immediately bursts out crying, and she goes to the door, and she says, I'm sorry, my husband and sons ate all the rolls. So this lady, she goes, really? I hope they enjoyed them. She goes, aren't you upset? She goes, why should I be upset? I baked them, that somebody should enjoy them. So they didn't know. I bake some more. I'll buy some more. What's the big deal? So I once said this I was giving a talk to some ladies, and an old lady in the back, she couldn't restrain her. She goes, what a tzaddikus. she got, okay, now the truth is, she's a very nice lady. Now I'm going to teach you a lesson in life. You know who the tzaddikus could be over here? If that Rachel doesn't go back to her husband and tell him, you nitwit, what were you thinking? When is the last time I baked rolls for you to eat during the week? If she doesn't give him an earful, that's restraint. that you're gracious and you let somebody eat them, that's very nice. That's a nice thing. But if you don't say it, and it's there, it's bubbling, it's bubbling up good and proper, and you don't say it, and you at that point, then you're a tzedekis. Then you know how the story ends, don't you? You know how the story ends, don't you? She doesn't say anything. She doesn't say anything. She doesn't say anything. Then about 2 a.m, she sits up in bed. What were you thinking? For those 6 hours, she's a tzedekis. And eventually it's going to come out. You should have known. You saw them in the freezer. When's the last time you didn't know? At least ask. That's Bilam. That's the flaw by Bilam. Your donkey stopped. Shouldn't you stop and think, why is the donkey acting strange? What happened to my donkey? Any of you have pets? Do any of you have pets, dogs, whatever it is? You have a dog? Nobody has a dog here? Did your dog ever start going berserk? You're wondering what happened to the dog? Did somebody say, what are those cookies called?
Oh, edibles.
Edibles. Did somebody give them some edibles or something? Didn't you start wondering what happened over here? You never wondered? You didn't wonder what's going on? And with my own children, I wonder what's going on. You see a kid, and all of a sudden the kid's behaving strange. Well, what happened to the kid? Somebody upset, he's tired. What's going on? Something's out of the ordinary here. I had a friend, by the way, who was he's a Rav, he's a very, very prominent rabbi. And there was a convention at a non-kosher hotel. There was a convention at a non-kosher hotel, and the rabbi, there was a visiting rabbi who was not very righteous. And there was this convention, and it was a convention with kosher food. They had a special caterer just for the kosher group. And this rabbi was this not very righteous rabbi, ordered room service, got himself a nice steak. And after he ate the steak, then he came to the other rabbi and he said, "Oh, I thought all the food, why didn't you tell me the food's not all kosher?" After he ate the steak. And so my friend led into him with everything he got. He said, "You know darn well that the halacha is that food, kosher meat, that has not been under constant supervision, you're not allowed to eat it anyway. You wouldn't have been allowed to eat that meat anyway, and you know darn well you should have asked me before eating any of the meat in the hotel. Because there's a halacha if there's kosher meat, and the kosher meat is what's called basar shenisale bina ayin. If that meat has not been under direct eye supervision constantly, you're not allowed to eat it. Even after it's cooked. It has to be, unless it's double wrapped, unless it's got that double wrapping. If there's kosher food and a Jew does not have his eye on that kosher food, then that's called basar shenisale bina ayin. You're not allowed to eat that food. That's why on the airplanes they have it's double wrapped. It's double wrapped with a seal. It's got to be double wrapped with seal. Then they put it in a non-kosher oven, but because it's double wrapped, then you can eat it. There's actually a story. There's a kid, a frum kid, got on an airplane, and kid sits down on the airplane, and they came out. It's like one of these short flights where they have like a snack and they don't have a full meal. It's like a 3-hour flight, 4-hour flight. So they came around with salami sandwiches, and he ordered a special kosher salami sandwich. So they put the salami sandwich on his tray, and there's this older non-Jew sitting next to him, and he gets his regular salami sandwich, and the kid gets up to go wash. So Yeshiva guy, he goes up to wash the tilas yadayim, he comes back to his seat, and he thinks of, I think I just made a boo-boo because I opened up the package, and there's salami in the package, and I wasn't under my supervision, and it's basar shenisale bina ayin, which is a rabbinic prohibition. You're not allowed to eat it. He's thinking, what could have happened? I could eat it, and I'd eat it. He says, listen, that's the halacha. I can't eat it. So he tears off a little piece of the bread. So he should make a motzi. He makes us a motzi, and then he doesn't eat. So the guy next to him, the goy, he looks at him and says, "Hey kid, how come you're not eating your food?" He goes, "I'm not really hungry." He says, Come on, I saw you. You were starving. Now why aren't you eating that food? He says, "Well, it's prohibited." He says, "Why is it prohibited?" He says, "Well, our rabbis many years ago said that if there's kosher food and I'm not supervising, I'm not allowed to eat it." He says, "Why is that?" He says, "Because the kid felt bad saying it." He says, "Because, if there a non-Jew in the vicinity may have switched some of the kosher meat with non-kosher meat." So the old guy looks at him and goes, yeah, I want to tell you something. You got some pretty smart rabbis. Because all my life I've been wondering what kosher salami tastes like. And as soon as you got up and you walked away, I took one of my pieces and I switched it with one of yours.
Wow.
How do you like that?
True story?
True story. It's certainly true that I heard it. That it's a documented story. Again, I can't vouch for it. You know, it's a story that's apparently a true story. And sometimes you don't have to know why. They made a rabbinic decree. We don't do it. But ask if this applies any time in life that you have a question. Sometimes it applies to a supermarket where they have a special, 2 per customer, right? They have sometimes they sell 2. You're allowed to say the Pepsi is on sale, 2 cartons per customer. They don't mind if I take another 2. Or they don't mind if I ask the guy behind me if maybe you could buy it and then meet me in the parking lot and give it to me. They don't mind. Are you sure they don't mind? There's a very easy thing to do. Ask them. That's all you got to do. I was once staying at a kosher hotel for Pesach, and on the last day of the hotel, my kids were very young at the time. My kids said to me, Daddy, could we take some ketchup packets? You know, they have these little individual ketchup packets. Could we take some ketchup packets home? So I said, see the guy over there? He's the manager of the hotel. Why don't you go over and ask him? So my daughter did. She was about 8 years old at the time. She went over and said, do you mind if we take some? He says, yeah, you can't take any of those. I said, then aren't you glad you asked? Isn't it a shame to go to Gehenna for ketchup packets? I mean, if you're already going to go, if you're going to steal something, rob a bank. Make it worthwhile. Don't go for ketchup. So all you got to do is ask. All you got to do is ask. I once asked the guy in a supermarket also, they had one of these sales on Pepsi or something. And so I asked the guy, like the manager, if I'm allowed to take another one. And I just remember the way he looked at me. He just kind of looked at me, just went like this. Yeah. Like, why are you asking something so basic? The answer is because maybe I'm not. That's why I was asking. I was also on a plane, one of my recent flights. I was on the plane, so they brought me my kosher meal. And it's double wrapped, it had been in the oven. He puts it down on my tray. And I was in business class. You get metal. They give you metal cutlery. Now the cutlery in the business class kosher meal, the cutlery is actually inside the tray, and it's been but that's they supervise it, and it's inside the tray. So he brought me my tray, and he brought me the tray had been opened. And just the kosher, the part that's heated up. I said, just bring me the part that was heated up, double wrapped, and he brings it over to me, and then he brings me cutlery. He brought me a knife and a fork. So I said to the guy, is this the cutlery that was originally in the tray? He goes, no. So I said, could I trouble you for that cutlery? So I remember he gave me an odd look. He goes, oh yeah, sure. Like he couldn't imagine why I would need a different knife and fork. What could the knives and forks are not food. The kosher he understands, but what the knife and the fork? So it's just so far removed from them. The answer is, if you don't know, ask. If you don't know, ask. Can I help myself do it? Ask. People take stuff from hotels all the time. Take soap, shampoo, soap, all these things. Are you allowed to take it? Well, they want me to have the towel, because it's good advertising. You ever hear that one? Yeah, you take the towel from the hotel because it's good advertising for the hotel. Exactly who's in your shower to see the Holiday Inn towel so that it's advertised, so I'm not quite sure why it's good. You don't know, ask. That's all you got to do is ask. And if you're afraid to ask, by the way, that is generally the sign you shouldn't be doing it. If you're afraid to ask, then you really shouldn't be doing it because you're worried that they're going to say no. Okay. Now, the Malach says, the angel says to, he says to Bilam, okay, no, I want you to go. Vayomer Malach Hashem, Pasuk Lamed Hey. Vayomer Malach Hashem el Bilam, see where we are, 1 second. Where are we? Yeah, okay. ויאמר מלאך השם לכי מהאנשים ואפס עשה הדבר אשר דבר אליך עושה תדבר וילך בלעם עם שרי בלק. עם שרי Balak. Now, Balak comes out to greet Bilam. And then he says to Balak, says to Bilam, take a look at Pasuk, skip on ahead to Perek Chaf Gimel. He tells Bilam, I want you to curse the Jewish people. So the first thing they do is they bring sacrifices. And Bilam thinks that one way or another he could appease God to help him curse. And then take a look in Pasuk Ches. Bilam, Pasuk Zayin, it's 5 lines from the bottom. Vayisa Mishalo Vayomar. Bilam says some sort of poetic parable. If you see where I am, 864, 5 lines from the bottom. 864, 5 lines from the bottom. So Bilam, Vayisa Mishalo Vayomar. He talks in very, very flowery, poetic terms. Min aram yancheni Balak melech Moav mehare kedem l'cha arali Yaakov. I want you to curse Yaakov, the Jewish people, u'lecha zoam Yisrael, and to unleash wrath against the Yisrael, the Jewish people. He uses both names. But I'm limited. Ma ekov lo kabo kel. How can I curse if God hasn't cursed? Uma ezom lo zam Hashem. And how can I get angry if God hasn't gotten angry? Bilam says, I'm limited here. Now, do any of you, have you ever heard the idea that Bilam is actually who? Lavan. Lavan. The original, the father-in-law of Yaakov Avinu. Some say that he's a reincarnation of Lavan. What's remarkable is that, look at the word for curse. Ma'ekov lo kabo kel. How can I curse if God hasn't cursed? 3 lines from the bottom. Now, going to do some work. Turn all the way back to Parshas Vayetze. Take all the way back to Parshas Vayetze. And page 158. Okay, now the background over here, and we've spoken about this once before, we've spoken about it several times before. Yaakov Avinu has been living by Lavan for 14 years, and he's married 2 daughters. And the entire time he's been an employee of Lavan. And at a certain point, Yaakov says, listen, I have to do some earning on my own now. I have to earn my own money. And up until now, I've been an employee of yours. So let's make a deal and I'll work to make something on my own. What's Lavan's reaction? 2 lines from the top. Vayomar, 158, 2 lines from the top. Lavan says to Yaakov, Nakva schorcha olai ve'etena. Set your price and I'll pay it. See that word nakva, gentlemen? Set your price and I'll pay it. Look at the last 3 letters of the word nakva. Look at the last 3 letters of the word nakva. Kuf beis hey. What does that spell? Look at what Bilam says when he says, "How can I curse?" Back on page 864. Ma ekov, 3 lines from the bottom. Ma ekov, how can I curse? Lo kabo kel, if God hasn't cursed. I'm limited by God. Keep your finger on 864. You see where it is? 3 lines from the bottom. Kabo, right? 3 lines from the bottom on 864, it says, Ma ekov lo kabo kel. How can I curse if God hasn't cursed? Look at what Lavan says now, who is supposed to be either Bilam or a reincarnation of Bilam. Nakva schorcha olai ve'etena. Look at that word nakva, the last 3 letters of the word nakva, 2 lines from the top, is also kuf beis hey. The same root. Kabo and nakva are the same root. Same exact root. And if you rearrange the vowelization of nakva, what do you get? The word nakva could also be read as what? Nikeva. What's a nikeva? What's that? A woman, a female. Interesting. The plot thickens. A female is nikeva, nakva. Kabo. What's the root? The root is curse. Ooh, bad, bad, bad. Just by way of coincidence, what's a male called? How do you say male? Ish. What else? Nekeva. Zachar. A zachar is a male, right? Zayin chaf reish. A zayin is 7, a chaf is 20, and a reish is 200. That's 227. You know what the numerical value of 227 equals? Bracha. Beis reish chaf hey. 227. Zachar is bracha. Nekeva is the opposite of bracha. What does that mean? What does that mean? And we spoke about this once. What that means is like this. What was Lavan saying to Yaakov? Nakva schorcha. He was saying to Yaakov Avinu, listen, we can't leave this open-ended. Nakva means set a price. What's that? No, not Nezek. Nakva. Nokev means set it. That means, what is the definition of bracha? The word bracha, by the way, brecha, you know what a brecha is? An overflowing spring. When you think of blessing, what do you think of? Growth, abundance. Bracha means that it's growing, it's multiplying, it's increasing. Increase is called bracha. When you limit something, what's that called? That's a curse. What is a curse? A curse means to put a limitation on it. Lavan is saying to Yaakov, Nakva schorcha, let's put a limit on this over here so we know exactly what I'm paying you over here. I want to put a limitation. If you think about the difference between males and females, we don't mean nekeva is curse. What nekeva really is limitation. If you have men represent expansion. Men are always looking out, growth, increase, to conquer the world. A woman, by definition, what does she do? Let's take what we have and let's develop what we have. We don't need more. Let's just work on what we've got right here. That's why a woman is able to carry a baby for 9 months. Because a woman takes what she's got and now she's going to develop it and nurture it. She doesn't need more pregnancy. One is enough. Let's take this and let's develop it. A woman, by definition, that's why you need both. Because a man is expansion. A man is increase. But increase without some sort of control on it ends up in prison time. Right? You end up in jail. You're out of control. You either end up in jail or you end up you end up bankrupt because you went for some sort of big investment. Whereas a woman is more, let's try to put a limitation on this. Not that she chas v'shalom to say she's a curse. Her nature is the counterforce to a man being out of control. Men left to their devices would get in a lot of trouble. A woman becomes that counterforce, limitation. Curse, by definition, means somebody is limited. When we speak about a person, if somebody says, hey, how's your business going? He says, well, we've been blessed this year. What did you mean by we've been blessed? We made more money. Right? It's been a bad year. That means there's been limitation. You need both. That's why a marriage is made up of both, because one without the other is at a disadvantage. Limitation alone is not good, and bracha alone is not good. It needs the counterbalance. It needs the counterforce. And that's why Bilam says, what is the goal of the Jewish people? What does he really want to do? Let's put a limit on the Jewish people. Let's go. That's really what the curse is supposed to do. Put a limitation on these people. Remember the Parashat began where he said, hey, there's this massive nation out there. I want a limitation on this people. And Bilam comes along and Bilam says, I can't put that limit on the Jewish people because God's not putting the limit on the Jewish people, and I am in the hands of God. Bilam is forced to acknowledge publicly that he's not with it, and that was what the message of the donkey was, that God is controlling the mouth of the donkey and God's controlling your mouth. So the angel says to Bilam says, all right, listen, if you don't want me to go, I won't go. He says, no, you could go, but you're going to do what I want you to do. You're going to go and you're going to say what I want you to say. We'll see tomorrow that Bilam, we'll talk about Bilam's level of prophecy. We're going to see what the incredible level that Bilam's prophecy at a certain level matches the same level of prophecy as Moshe Rabbeinu. Okay, that we'll see about. We'll understand that tomorrow.